for being here. I hope everyone is staying warm and not going outside unless you absolutely have to. But my name is Maria. I am a volunteer recruiter with American Red Cross. And I just wanted to spend some time today mainly hearing from you all about what some needs are that you might have for internships or volunteer requirements. And then I'll give you some info about Red Cross and how we might be able to help you fulfill those requirements. But I like to start all of these sessions with knowing who's here, first of all, but also knowing, if there's anything specific that you want to get out of this time together, if you know right off the bat that you have specific questions you want me to answer, I will gladly make sure I do my best to answer all of those questions for you. So I will, if it's okay, I'll just kind of go around who I see on the screen here, and you can come off mute and tell me who you are and if there's anything specific you're hoping to get out of today. So Alex, do you mind coming off mute?
Yeah. So I'm super interested in the Peace Corps and just serving other communities.
Yeah.
So this popped up in my email and I was like, ooh, that seems super interesting. Because I was looking at like possible summer internships and nothing from the Red Cross stuck out to me. So when I saw this email, I was like, I should probably look at that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just here for general information, possible summer internships.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, Alex. Anna.
Hello. Similar to Alex, I'm also interested in the Peace Corps, but I'm interested in public health in general. And I don't know much about the Red Cross as far as like opportunities that they offer. So yeah, I'm just curious as to what types of opportunities are there, whether it be internships or whether it just be other types of other opportunities for participation or involvement.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being here. I did a stint of AmeriCorps, so I resonate a lot with your Peace Corps interests. It was always something I wanted to do. Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate Himmick. I'm a senior. I'm planning on taking a gap year between graduation and grad school. I haven't sort of solidified a plan yet, so I'm just broadening my horizons, and this was an interesting email that popped up, like the people said. So I'm just looking to get more information in general.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for being here. Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a sophomore, and I would say pretty similar to Alex and Anna. Just kind of like read the description on the email. It sounded really interesting, and I just, yeah, like here for general information and just to hear more about it.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm thinking about majoring in behavioral neuroscience and Spanish, and I'm interested in helping people, and I don't know much about the Red Cross. I thought it sounded interesting, and maybe interested in the medical field, but I'm not sure.
Cool. Awesome. That is definitely an interesting combination of studies. That's really cool. Weston.
Hi, yeah, my name's Weston. I'm a history and philosophy double major and a minor in classical studies. I'm hoping to go into law school, specifically, service-based humanitarian or human rights law.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for, an internship this summer that can really challenge me and help me branch out, and most importantly, help me serve other communities. So
Cool.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you. Do not want to butcher this name. So, Ju Hong, I am so sorry. Please, please, please correct me.
Hi, this is Ju Hyung,
Ju Hong. Okay.
and I'm junior at Standard College.
Okay.
And I joined this session mainly because I do not really know much about Red Cross, and
Yeah.
I thought it was always great to take an opportunity that like our school offers to students. So
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. And Madeline, last but not least.
Hi guys, I'm Madeline. I'm a sophomore. I'm planning to major in biochemistry and molecular biology and follow the pre-med track. So yeah, similar to you guys, I saw this, it popped up in my email, and it seemed really interesting. I've been looking around for internships or just opportunities to learn more about different organizations, and the American Red Cross just caught my eye. So yeah, can't wait to learn more. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again for joining us. I will preface, I do have a PowerPoint to share, but I am someone that I want you to interrupt me at any point if you have questions. I much prefer dialogue than just talking at folks, so please stop me at any point. And I'll preface the PowerPoint by saying that you'll hear me use the word mainly volunteer, but all of our volunteer positions, for the most part, can be made into what we call academic service learning roles, which for your intents and purposes would count as an internship. So you would basically hold a volunteer role, but also be able to fulfill your internship requirements by doing that role. So if it sounds like I'm just talking about volunteers, that's just how we qualify folks as they come into serving with us in our programs, but we would designate you as an academic service learner to fulfill your internship requirements. So I will go ahead and get the PowerPoint up here for everyone. And like I said, stop me at any point if you have questions, if you're wondering about something, want to know more. I am happy to answer those questions. So just a little bit of history about the Red Cross. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent Society was founded in Geneva, Switzerland. So you'll hear Switzerland used as that neutral territory, and the Red Cross today is still proud to be very neutral. That is one of our guiding principles, is that we are here to serve in a humanitarian service way, with no political governmental affiliation whatsoever. So we are truly a neutral third party that is always ready to help. So the International Red Cross was founded in 1863, and then Clara Barton heard of this great work being done. She was a nurse in the war and founded the American Red Cross in 1881. So she campaigned to bring that program of services to America, and we have been functioning in that way ever since. So I mentioned, you know, the American Red Cross is not sponsored by the government. We're not affiliated with, you know, the government in any way, which is something a lot of people don't realize, because we are often responding to national disasters alongside, you know, FEMA, working closely with state and national governments when a disaster happens. But we are a 100% charitable organization. And most of our funding comes from donors, and a little bit comes from grants as well. So completely nonprofit humanitarian service organization. A lot of you are probably familiar with the Red Cross's role in blood donations and blood supply. We are the single largest supplier of blood in the United States. So about every 8 seconds, someone is in need of life-saving blood. And the American Red Cross covers 40% of the blood supply that we are able to get into the arms of people that need it. And with our disasters, that's probably our second largest area that we are known for. And we respond to a disaster about every 8 minutes, which is kind of wild to think about. And thankfully, those are not usually, you know, large scale hurricanes, tornadoes, things like that. But more often than not, they are a house fire right in our own backyard. So we have volunteers that work in our local communities to go respond to those house fires, get people funding that they might need, helping them find a place to stay, things like that. But with disaster, we also do things like teaching health and safety preparedness classes, you know, first aid, CPR, what to do in the event of a disaster, how to prepare for that. And so we have a lot of volunteers that spend their time teaching those classes, which is a really great way to get involved if, you know, teaching or educating is something that you're passionate about. So just here's our mission statement. I really love it, and I think it really encompasses the heart of our mission. So the American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. So about 90% of our total workforce at the Red Cross is made up of volunteers. So that is a very, very large bulk of the services that we are able to provide, the work that is able to get done. That is by volunteers across the gamut, from teenagers in high school all the way up to retired folks that have found volunteering something they're passionate about after they retire from their careers. So I mentioned, we are guided in being a neutral party. These are just our fundamental principles. I'm not going to read them to you, but I will gladly share this PowerPoint in an email later on if you'd like it. But we focus on things like humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. So we're going to go and make sure that we are helping in the best way that we can, wherever we can, and knowing that we are protected and being able to serve in ways that others might not, just because of who we are and the reputation that Red Cross service provides. And these are just our values here. They are the 5 C's. And these are things that we ask all of our volunteers, our employees, to mainly just agree on before they start serving with us. So we want folks, part of our mission, to be compassionate, collaborative, creative, credible, and committed. So making sure that you're just able to abide by these, values as you're serving. We have a phrase that we are one Red Cross. So as a volunteer, as an intern, you are truly working alongside staff members, other volunteers in a very collaborative way that everyone is able to work together for one mission, which I think is a really important part, especially in the nonprofit sector, when you have that mission kind of guiding you along the way. So before I get into the nitty-gritty of lines of service that you might be interested in serving in, does anyone have any general questions kind of about the Red Cross mission and values or anything like that? Okay. And like I said, stop me at any point if you do. So getting into our lines of service and how you might be able to come on board. I know we have folks interested in law, in medicine, in all sorts of fields. So we really think that there is probably a volunteer role that you will align with in one way or another. And there might be roles that I don't mention today that you will find more appealing for you. And I will, of course, share the information to all of our volunteer positions that are on our website. But I'll just highlight some that you might find specifically useful to complete an internship requirement. So with our disaster cycle services, I mentioned, we are responding all the time to house fires in our area, of course, to local disasters like tornadoes, flooding, things of that nature. And a big need there is for folks to serve as caseworkers. So when a family is affected by a house fire or a tornado, being able to walk alongside that family, helping them to find lodging that they might need, resources to food, to finding clothing. If their house was lost in a fire completely, they might have absolutely nothing. So our caseworkers are the ones that are working with them to make sure that they are getting everything that they need. We also have folks in disaster cycle services that work with our fire departments and make sure that when a fire happens, that Red Cross knows about it and is able to go respond. So that work right now is affected greatly because of COVID. So all of those positions right now, for the most part, have been done virtually. And I'll leave that as a caveat. For most of these positions right now, they are being done from home. A lot of us are still working from home, with the exception of our blood services. Most folks are able to do their volunteer roles, their internships remotely. So moving into preparedness, health and safety, I mentioned we do things like first aid CPR classes. We're offering those virtually for our volunteers right now. So if you come on board, you would be able to participate in a non-certification course completely virtually, which is wonderful. But we have programming in preparedness for kids all the way in 1st and 2nd grade. We have a little penguin named Pedro, And our volunteers go into schools and they teach kids about disaster preparedness and what that looks like at an age appropriate way for them, all the way up to adults teaching, disaster preparedness and those types of things. So when a hurricane, hits, when a tornado hits, folks are more able to be prepared and ready for those events. With our blood services line, this is the folks on the front lines of those blood collections. So folks going into the medical field, our blood donor ambassador volunteers are the ones that are at blood drives when they happen, checking people in right now, making sure that, COVID guidelines are being followed, PPE is being worn, maybe assisting in some temperature taking if needed. But this is the opportunity where you might be able to actually get some clinical hours from working in this volunteer role. So that's something that, we can work out with your program at school, as well as our blood services staff to make sure that you'd be getting some hours filled that you might need there. But that's also just a great way to fill some volunteer time doing scheduling, helping get people signed up for blood drives, helping to recruit volunteers to serve at those blood drives. That can all be done from home without ever stepping foot at a blood drive as well. With our Service to Armed Forces program, our biggest need there is for our emergency caseworkers. So again, working with clients in a way where if a family in Kentucky has a service member overseas and say there is a death in their family or a baby that is being born and that overseas service member needs to get back to the States, Red Cross will work to get in touch with that family member's commanding officer, whoever needs to be in touch with them to get them home safely. For example, we had a case recently where someone's grandfather was dying, unfortunately, but within about 18 hours, a Red Cross volunteer was able to get that service member on a plane home so they could say goodbye to their family member. So that's really important work there, of also being able to support family members of, service members overseas, and just making sure that they have the support that they need here in the States. So again, a very client-centered, client-facing role that can be done from wherever you are. All you need is a phone and computer. And lastly, our international services. I know we have some folks interested in the Peace Corps, but if you are ever interested in deploying overseas, if there is a disaster that national or international Red Cross is responding to, we're always looking for folks that are willing to fly, to serve, especially if you have certain language skills or cultural knowledge. That is always a large added bonus for those folks deploying overseas. And then some roles that are less client facing, but more on the nonprofit admin side of things. We're always in need of folks that are willing to serve with our development and fundraising team. So these volunteers work with our staff to make those phone calls, set up meetings, do a lot of data analysis about fundraising and where they might need to spend some extra time, if it's with a certain donor, if it's with a certain organization or business, being able to work with those folks to raise the all-important money to keep this organization afloat. I know I have a business major from another college that's going to be doing an internship with our fundraising staff this summer. So yeah, definitely a great way for business majors, finance majors, or if you're just more interested in the admin side of a nonprofit, that's a really great way for you to get involved and fulfill a requirement there. And lastly, our volunteer services. So this is the department I am in. And like I said, volunteers make up about 90% of our workforce. And so we need to recruit these volunteers, just like I'm doing right now. We need to engage those volunteers in the work that they're doing. So we have folks that work on a recruitment task force with us, and they reach out to local businesses, organizations, colleges, high schools, all across the state of Kentucky to try and get the word out about Red Cross and what our needs are, how they might fit within the organization, especially based on, you know, the time that they have. If someone only has 4 hours a month to serve, we still have a volunteer role for you. So these folks are a really great asset to us in recruiting more volunteers for our workforce. So just some other things that you can expect as a Red Cross volunteer, as an intern. You know, depending on the length of your internship with us, your service learning, you'll obviously be meeting with your supervisor regularly about the, you know, requirements for your internship, how things are going, offering feedback on both ends. You know, how is it going for you? Is there a special project you want to be working on or need to be working on? Things like that. We would pair you up with a current volunteer to kind of serve as a mentor while you're serving. So you have someone in the same role as you, kind of showing you the ropes as well, in a different way than your supervisor might. We offer you all of the training that you will need. So not only to be successful in your role, but if there's other areas that you're interested in learning about, we have all of these online training courses that you're able to attend on your own time, being able to just learn more about a different area that you might be curious about. And I mentioned those first aid classes. We're going to start offering those monthly to all of our current volunteers. So that's something that you'd be able to benefit from as well in, you know, getting some of those perks that being a Red Cross volunteer offers. So let me stop sharing here so I can see you all. And then, so I know that was a lot and very general overview, but did you hear anything that you're particularly wondering about? Any questions you might have, how requirements work, or things of that nature? I know a question I get a lot is, you know, how do I make sure that this position is going to work for the requirements that I have to fulfill? As a service learner, you know, we'll make sure that we set up a meeting before you ever start applying with that service manager in a program you might be interested in, just to make sure you don't get, you know, 2 months into your internship or the academic service learning and realize, oh no, you know, this isn't going to work for the credits that I need to fill. So we want to make sure that we're doing right by you all as you're giving your time to us, that, you know, you're getting the credits that you need, and all that good stuff. Question?
You mentioned you had a volunteer, an intern that was an econ major.
Yeah.
And obviously it seems like with the variety of like services and programs kind of through the Red Cross that that would allow room for a lot people, you know, hailing from a lot of different interests and majors to have a role still.
Yeah, definitely. You know, none of our positions have like a major requirement. You know, you have to be in this major in order to fill this role. It's really about, you know, what are the requirements of your internship credit need, you know, things like that, to make sure that you're getting what you need out of the time. We have a lot of folks too that wind up, you know, they finish an internship semester with us and they say, you know, I want to stay on board with, you know, serving a little less hours than I needed for my internship, but then wind up holding more of like a volunteer leader role. So you might be the one mentoring new volunteers, if that's something that you're interested in doing. And then, especially now with this virtual climate we're in, we've learned how many positions truly don't need to come to our offices. So if you are, you know, not in the Centre College area, you're home with your families, you can still be able to serve and contribute, do your internship over the summer without ever having to be in one of our offices, which is really wonderful. With the application process, it is very simple and painless. Basically, you go online and create a profile with us. We would have that meeting with the manager of the line of service you're interested in, make sure, you know, see what schedule would look like, what requirements you need to fulfill, and then we do just a simple background check, and then you are pretty much ready to go. So it is quick and painless on our end for sure. But I imagine you all have more paperwork than we will ever see in terms of internships.
I was wondering, how old do you have to be? Because I know some places it's 18, but other places say like 21 or something like that.
Nope, just 18. Some of our volunteer roles, depending on what they are, do require a driver's license, but that would all be listed in the position description for the volunteer role. So that's a great question, though. Yeah, we get that a lot. Any other things I'm forgetting that you're wondering about? I'll put in the chat my contact information, my direct cell phone number and email address, as well as the link to go ahead and look at all of our volunteer positions. So there's probably things that I left out that would definitely fulfill a requirement for you. You know your program best, you know what you need best. So I will drop that there so then you are able to go in and check everything out. Anything else you might think of? Well, if there is nothing else you can think of, I will hang out for a little bit if someone wants to ask, you know, an individual specific question or anything like that. But I will send Brianna my slides so she can get them to you. So that way you have that as well as a resource. But if there's anything you need in the meantime, feel free to call or text or email me. And hopefully we can, you know, help you fulfill a requirement you might need, especially in this time where I know a lot of offices and businesses are closed and things like that. So definitely don't be a stranger. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay warm and safe. And thanks again for joining. I appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.